Hi everyone, welcome back to Tokyo on Fire. Today is July 31st, 2018. The Upper House finished its extended session just last week. They completed a couple of things that are very important and project what's going to happen before the Prime Minister runs for re-election. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe on this video. Tell your friends about Tokyo on Fire. Help us proliferate this channel. Michael, the Diet ended its session, an extended session of 31 days on top of their regularly scheduled 6 months. They achieved a couple of significant things that are important to us in projecting what's going to happen in the very near term.
They got a lot of things done, and a lot of them were quite unpopular. And it seems to be that they're setting up basically a nice clean slate for basically the re-election of Abe as the leader of the LDP in September.
It looks pretty good. I mean, he comes out of this looking in control, somewhat dominant inside the Diet. The LDP looks like it's solid, and the news that has spread out since we've had this, the closure of the Diet on Saturday looks like things are really going in his favor.
It looks like everything's going in his favor, and in fact, that might be bad for him. In that, it really made it look as though the numbers that the LDP controls in both houses are basically the only game in town now. There was very little of the give and take, the sort of the
jostling,
the head shake kind of. Okay, we'll let you have your time. It's okay. You're opposition. We feel sorry for you. None of that we feel sorry for you. We have the numbers. We have the votes. We have to get this done. And it was all, just by brute force in the final in the final moves on this. Whether it was in committee or in the plenary sessions, whatever the opposition did. And in fact, it put out a no confidence motion, which is the ultimate,
slap in the face.
It's the, we don't like you card. It of course was easily defeated by the LDP in the House of Representatives, and it was just an expression of Mr. Abe and his party's absolute dominance of the agenda. True, they had to extend the Diet session, which is an admission that they didn't have complete control over the news cycle during this whole year. But when push came to shove, they had the numbers and they made the decisions.
It's important to point out here for our viewers that the lower house, the LDP has really firm control. The upper house, they have firm control as well. Things that were decided that Saturday were in the upper house. They had already passed through the lower house. Now for the upper house, these two important bills, let's just go into those a little bit.
Okay, sure. The issue is the LDP has greater than 50% of the seats in both houses. It doesn't even need its coalition partner, the Komeito, but it keeps it in order to get on a completely different track, which is constitutional revision, which we've heard zero about for many weeks now. It's all been about the sheer majorities that have existed in the House of Reps and House of Councilors. Now, in this case, they were used to pass bills that, for the most part, the people really don't like.
Right.
Anything having to do with the casino legalization bill, which we spoke about previously, is unpopular. And indeed, in phone polls that were taken after the vote on this second set of bills that make it possible to open integrated resorts, casinos, 2/3 of the voters are against the law and against these changes. So it's a very strange situation where the LDP has extended the Diet, Mr. Abe has extended the Diet, and it passes laws that the people don't want, and as we discussed last time, that the tourism industry of Japan doesn't need. So it's a power play, and it's basically, my analysis is basically to show that he and his people can do it.
Right, right. Well, Michael, don't you think that this will attract more foreign visitors to Japan?
Well, certainly for the foreign financial press and certain...
That's tongue-in-cheek.
Oh. Well, anyway, even if it is not tongue-in-cheek, the foreign financial press has always been fascinated about casino legalization. And that's understandable because they, of course, cater to the finance community. And their interest is in new things to invest in and also gambling money.
Right.
You might call playing the markets to not gambling, but in many ways it is. And so it's always had a cachet. And that has always been a part of it as well. The interest from the outside the interest from outside of Japan is inordinately upon this, what is basically economically and in terms of tourist numbers likely to be very minor change in Japan's basic structure in terms of its economic basis.
We don't know that. Three casinos will be allocated somewhere in Japan in the very near term, right? But the door is open for them to have casinos in 6, 12, 20 cities.
We'll see how it goes. But the likelihood is that these will not prove to be as economically viable as people thought. We'll see. I've never seen the numbers, except very rosy ones, about how this is all going to play out. That's one aspect. The other interesting piece of legislation that passed was a modification of the proportion of seats that are in the House of Councilors. It used to be 242 seats. It's going to be 248. Now, many commentators are saying, how is it possible when Japan has a shrinking population that the House of Councilors is getting larger? And the answer to that is
politics.
But it's between various branches of government. The Supreme Court has mandated that the House of Councilors, as well as the House of Representatives, have to be more in line with Article 14, which guarantees equality under the law.
Proportional representation.
Now, proportional representation in the United States case is dealt with only in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. It's two senators per state, and that's it. But here, with the House of Councilors, the Supreme Court of Japan has taken upon itself the burden of trying to make that house more representative, even though it's not named the House of Representatives. And indeed, in order to satisfy that need, the LDP has tried various fiddles, including what is the source of one of the constitutional revision proposals. It has actually, in 2014, a law was passed which merged the senators, because that's what the House of Councilors are called, they're senators, merged the senators of 4 of the prefectures into 2 electoral districts, which robbed people of their senator and also robbed those folks who were sitting in those seats of a place to sit comfortably and not work very hard. And indeed, that's been the opposition argument against this expansion of the House of Councilors. They're saying all you're doing is trying to win seats back or create seats for these people who lost their seats in the merger.
Last day of the session.
And it was an easy shot, and it's true. And it very likely will be. That's the way it works out. Beyond that is simply that there is this tension always between the Supreme Court and between the ruling party over, we've got to make the electoral system reflect Article 14 more and more. As it is, they should really be concentrating on making one person, one vote in the House of Representatives, but that's not what we have. And instead, they flipped out into the House of Councilors, where they shouldn't have been bothering in the first place. Since historically, it comes out of the House of Peers. It was an appointed body of worthies who were noblemen. It doesn't have a tradition of being representative at all, but instead, the Supreme Court got involved, and now we have this expansion when in fact there should be contractions. And indeed, the House of Representatives has been shrinking significantly over time to reflect the population change.
In a very brief period of time, the Diet closed the session maybe 4 days ago, Michael. Since that time, on television and in the press, the Prime Minister has been out talking to people. Ishiba has been out stating his claim to run against the Prime Minister for leadership of the LDP. All of these things that we've talked about right now, closing down of the Diet, the bills that have been passed, are prelude to this wind-up to hit the ball and go for the 3rd term.
We've seen in the last 2 weeks the other candidates, Kishida, the former foreign minister, who's also...
Wasted no time,
head of the park, saw his numbers, looked at them, saw the number of members of his faction.
He did that on Saturday, didn't he?
Yeah, and came to a realization that I'm going to have to cut a deal with Abe to get as many seats in the next cabinet, because there will be a next cabinet after the presidential election.
That's one of the predictions.
And then he's going to get as many as he can, so he immediately raised the white flag and surrendered. Noda Seiko, who has been running since February, she has hit a wall of scandals and made-up scandals that have just absolutely filled the front pages.
Avalanche. It just came out of
almost out of nowhere in all of the scandal mags. So that we have only now the two challengers.
And she's a friend of Abe's.
Well,
she's in the cabinet.
Yeah, well, she's in the cabinet, and Kishida was in the cabinet, and he was running against Abe. And in this case, it leaves only Ishiba with his 20 faction members against the rest of the LDP. And Ishiba, though he tried when he was Secretary General to cultivate the local vote, because the local LDP chapters have a vote in this first round that happens in September, it looks as though Abe is just cleaning up in that area as well, and it's just going to be a humiliation of Ishiba come September.
They have to fight hard, don't they, to prevent it looking like kabuki. Like it's all a setup, that the decision has already been made, that all of the pieces are already in place, and I think your prediction and mine are similar in that, yes, the pieces are in place. They've been put in place for a long time, and they're just kind of gattai. They're coming together slowly now for a September election.
I was wrong. I did not think that Abe would simply bring out the hammer, and part of that hammer is cooperation of the media with the destruction of his rivals.
Doesn't he look good?
I simply thought that they would be given more play by the media, but instead the media has been part of an orchestrated campaign of simply delegitimizing any other candidate except Abe. Abe is all we have. Abe is all we need, and it's been pretty rough.
It's going to be interesting these next maybe 35, 40 days before that election. Shinjiro Koizumi, the son of the former prime minister, is kind of kissing up closely to Ishiba. That would be a really powerful combination, wouldn't you agree?
It would be a powerful combination, but the thing is, it's going to be decided not by the people, but by the local chapters, and more importantly, the members of the Diet. And those votes all seem to be already locked up. There's no play out there. And Abe seems to be the re-elected, and they're taking no chances. Every single day we hear things that are supposed to elevate him, that are supposed to make him seem invincible, and seeing is believing.
Michael, over August, we're going to take a break here on Tokyo on Fire. We're not going to upload any episodes. A lot will happen in this period of time. And I predict that if he decides not to go with Mr. Ishiba as a joint ticket or in support of him, that the new cabinet will reflect that.
I don't know who's going to be in the new cabinet. There are a lot of people. There are going to have to be a lot of changes. A lot of the people that Mr.
are owed.
Yes, but also Mr. Abe made a special cabinet of rivals when he brought in Noda Seiko and brought in Kono Taro into the cabinet. I'm sure that there's going to be a huge push to get rid of them once after September the election happens. And there will be a whole new cast, and we'll see how it goes.
What is your prediction right now between now and the election time of September? What do you think is going to happen that might rock things up?
No, I don't think you see anything that's going to rock anything, unless, of course, Mr. Abe, out of sheer hubris, decides to go to Yasukuni on August the 15th, saying, now I can do it. That would certainly shake things up, but I don't think him that bold and that adventurous.
Well, I hope to see you at Yasukuni on the 15th then.
I'm going on the 6th.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's a little bit safer. We're going to keep following this between now and the election date. Please stay tuned. A lot is going to happen. Hi guys, thanks for watching this episode. If you appreciate what we do here on Tokyo on Fire, hit like, share, and subscribe. Add your comments, tell your friends about what we're doing here. Help us proliferate this channel. Good?
Yeah, very good.
Great, thanks. Okay, back to my regular job.